Welcome to our Parents Reading Information Meeting. For myself, I have had a career where literacy has been my absolute passion. Children learning to speak, the sounds of words, and then putting those words together to read and write. We use a very successful system here called Read, Write, Ink. Children get off to a flying start with this system. First of all, they learn the sounds that each letter makes, not the name. Then they put them together to build small, phonetically correct, simple words. And when they're comfortable doing that, they will read and write short sentences.
We start with the initial sounds, which are the first set of sounds. Each sound has a mnemonic, as you can see here, to help the child remember the sounds. So our first example here is T, and the mnemonic that goes with it is down the tower, across the tower. Both of these come in the flashcard that will be in your little green book that will go home as homework, provided we have them. If not, some other way of remembering them will be sent as homework.
Until they're available.
Each sound has its own card that comes with a mnemonic on the back. We'll do both in class, learning the sound and the instructions on how to write the letter. We'll now go through the structure of each of our lessons in class. Phonics is something that happens daily in class and following the same routine which the children will soon become familiar with. We start each lesson with the sound flashcards, where we'll rotate them round and ask the children to instantly recall and say the sounds. Moving on from that, when the children have a good understanding of their initial sounds, we'll move on to short words, where they will individually sound out the sounds and then blend these together to make the word.
Mat.
Moving on from that, we'll build up to reading short sentences. Like the one here, I mop up the mud. So short sentences with manageable words that they can break up, decode and read.
You'll notice in this sentence there are two red words, and we'll tell you more about those shortly.
Every lesson follows the structures of sounds, words, sentences, and that pattern will go through all the way from the beginning of the Read, Write, Ink scheme to the end once they are finished. Writing goes hand in hand with all the phonics work and reading work that we do. At every stage, from now right through the scheme, children will be given the opportunity to write at every chance that they get. Initially, our focus is, and we're doing this in class at the moment, is to focus on the correct letter formation to ensure that children start off forming the letters as they should be to get them off to the best start. And you can see in this example here, this is taken from our current class, where we've gone through the instructions for the letter, the sound N, where we go down the net, down the man and over the net. And you can see the example here. Some of them are formed correctly and some of them not so much. So this is the part we'll tell you what you can do to help your child at home. Children make the best progress when they're supported and do work at home every day. This consolidates what they've been learning in class and builds upon it. It only needs to be a short 5 minutes in a quiet and calm environment to work with your child. It is important to make the process suitable for you and your home life and your family life, but also consistent for your child. It could be straight after school, at bedtime, after breakfast, before you come to school, just whatever suits your family life. It's best to have a consistent time that you do it each day of the week. It should also be a completely screen-free time where there's no distractions and you and your child can focus on the learning that you're doing. It should also be a precious time and not a chore. It should be a time where you and your child can share what they've been learning, you can hear from them and you can practice it, and they can really show off to you what they can now do after starting primary 1. And very soon your child will be coming home with a reading packet, and this will include a homeschool book which you can use to write notes to us and we will send things home. It also has a little explanation of what is expected and what we require, and it would be really, really helpful for us that every time you work with your child, you sign it, you make a comment, even just to put the date and just a little smiley face or something is enough, just so that we know you've worked with your child at home. It will also include your set one sound book, which will be going home at some point with your child so that they can practice the sounds at home. This is where our red words come back in, and we will send home some flashcards, as you can see attached to the example book here, which have thinky pink words. Thinky pink words are words that cannot be sounded out. They therefore need to be learned, memorised, so that children can look at them and read them. Some examples of these are the, was and there. It's also really important, and this is another plea to all of you parents out there, please do not put the reading packets into school bags. Our reading folders are nice, they're zipped, they're kept, and as soon as they get folded up and go into bags with water bottles and things, they become damaged. So please make sure your child's carrying them to and from school each day.
We'll collect them as they come through the door.
So from now, when you get the home learning packets home, we ask you to go through set one sounds with your child, not necessarily in the correct order, and ask your child to say the sound to you. It's really important that you know the correct way to say the sound, the way that your child's been taught. And here you can see the different sounds. We have voiced and unvoiced sounds. And there's a video that will follow later that explains what each sound, how you should say each sound. And
This is an example of the difference it makes if you put the sound on the end, like z, r. A little boy wrote last year this because he was super good at hearing the sounds in a word. So he wrote m, a, n for man. But if that was in his writing, it wasn't really easy to read. So it is super, super important that the sounds are made correctly.
Alongside the spelling and the learning of the sounds, we have been teaching the children finger spelling in school. This acts as a memory aid to help them to recall the sounds. This is a copy of the finger spelling, so each single sound, each letter, has its own finger spelling. We will send a copy of this home inside the homework book, and it would be good if you could use these when you're doing the sounds to reinforce that learning with the children. Moving on from the sounds, once your child is able to read and blend multiple sounds to make words securely, we will move on to reading simple sentences. The sheet will be used in class and then sent home to be practiced at home. This will be sent home, these sheets, the ditty sheets, will be sent home before any reading books go home. So it's an extra step between learning the sounds and reading books. And as you can see on the example here, it is the same routine of sounds, then words, and then sentences. Thinky Pink's in there as well, and then the sentences. So please, when you're reading these with your child, start at the top and work down.
It's important to note that we assess the children regularly every 6 to 7 weeks, so they're not faced with more to do than they are physically capable of doing.
So a couple of notes just before we go. Reading is something that should be fun. It's a precious time for you and your child to have together, and stories should be enjoyed as well as this reading homework. Whether it's at bedtime or when you choose to read stories with your child, that is a really important time for you and them, and it should be a fun time, not something that is a chore for you or them. Again, please do not put the reading packets into school bags. And also a quick thank you to everybody who has sent in, after we moaned at you at the information evening, sent in small rucksacks that haven't been too laborious for children to carry and haven't taken up too much space in an already cramped classroom, and for naming everything, because it has made our job so much easier since starting this academic year. We will also be sending home in the reading packets a home information booklet which just gives you an overview of the read write ink scheme and any additional information that you may need. So please have a read of this, and if you require it in any different language to help you, please let us know and this can be arranged. A little reminder that practice makes perfect, and it's so important that you do that daily practice with your child at home to really help their education and help them come on. Following our presentation here, you will see the sound video that we spoke about before, where you'll hear the voiced and the unvoiced sounds. It's really important that this should be a point of reference for you, and it's not something that your child should watch. It's almost a teaching tool for you to learn how to say the sounds correctly. It's not something that your child should watch and learn from. First, I'm going to go through the voice sounds. So I'll show you the sound on the flashcard and say it as your children have heard it and as you should do it at home. A, B, D, E, G, E, J, O, M, N, O, A, V, U, E, Z. These are the unvoiced sounds, so they are much quieter than the voiced sounds. K, F, K, P, S, T, X. After the children have learned all of their single sounds, we'll move on to special friends. These are two letters that go together to create a new sound. This one here can be said as th, like things, or v, like this. Nk,